I'm going to try to pick up where we left off on this slicing technique, and I'm going to have to thumb through the slides till we get to where we cut off last time. And it was somewhere along in here, so we'll pick up again here and continue with it. You can see the lower anterior teeth are being moved over to the right side of the mouth, and the midline is getting closer all the time. Now we haven't actually done the upper arch yet, so we'll have to work on to that part. And the lower left lateral has moved forward and has moved into the portion where we slice the deciduous cuspid away, and that's causing the teeth to move to the right. Up above we've got a similar problem, and so we're going to have to come in and do a similar thing up here where we'll take away a portion of these upper deciduous teeth and do a pulpotomy on them also. Now this is just looking down on the lower arch, and you can see how this lateral that started over here somewhere is moved forward. As you get space, the tongue presses on the lateral and pushes it forward. The lip kind of holds it back here, and if they've got proper function, this will just get better on nearly any of these cases. Alright, we've done the upper cuspids. We've taken this off and packed that canal with the zinc oxide, and you should all smooth it off and kind of smooth up the teeth a little bit to keep from irritating the lips and everything, and give these teeth room, and it'll do the same thing up here. Now we'll go forward a little bit further. You can watch the lower anterior as they get gradually better, and here the upper, it looks pretty gory, but if you clean this up a while, and this tooth will tend to move in here. This one will move out a little bit, this one will move out a little bit, and this one will move into place over here. Now after you've done the slicing technique, if you have to, you can go back and trim a little more off of this deciduous tooth over here, and it doesn't have any feeling in it. As long as you keep off the gum tissue, you can reduce the tooth a little further, yet the total root is still there just like it was. It'll be resorbed by the permanent cuspid coming down through there. And it looks pretty gory here, but if it cleans up, it looks a lot better. Now that was the way the lower started out, like that, and you see in just a few months time, or I don't remember exactly how much time it took, but it's gotten a lot better, and frequently it'll improve like that in a matter of just a few months. Now the midline looks better from here. I don't know whether it's going to be on that much when the bite is closed or not, but it's certainly getting better, and the parents like that. And you've done nothing, actually put nothing in the mouth, no appliance or anything, except you just kind of allocated this space for those teeth as you've gone as they come in. Now we're getting pretty close to the time where we're going to do the second phase of this, and the second phase, you wait till one of these teeth goes, this one or this one, either the cuspid or the first deciduous molar goes, and then you'll take the other one out, and now you're going to go back and take off a portion of this second deciduous molar, but leave the roots alone. We're not quite ready for that yet. We leave it till one of those exfoliates on its own. So this has gotten much better now. Right here, the deciduous cuspid is gone. It's the one came out first. The deciduous first molar is still there, so we're going to come back and we'll extract the deciduous first molars on both sides of the mouth. Let me go back over and see the other side. Yeah, the same thing has happened. So both deciduous cuspids, the roots are totally resorbed, and I think I was a little wrong on that 2 and 3 years. It usually just a year or so, and maybe not even a year they'll come out. Now you're ready to do the second phase. Now look how much better the upper teeth have gotten. Just remember, there's nothing been in their mouth at all. If they function properly, they'll always get better when you give them some space. Now we're going to come in and take this tooth out, and now we'll come in and take a portion off of the second deciduous molar down the bottom. Now we excuse me. You'll notice that these teeth have taken up almost every bit of the space that we allocated for them, and they formed a nice even arc through here, shaped by the tongue. The tongue formed that, and I may have kind of not given this quite enough. I could come back and take some more, but I might just leave it alone, and when this goes or this goes, this will finish straightening up on the top. Now this has happened, and we've not touched it other than just giving some space out to it. Now on the bottom, you can see these teeth have lined up pretty good. This lateral that was way back here is up in almost in line now. We've got a permanent cuspid tooth coming in right here. You can see it. This one has already come in, and it's about 2 to 3, well, about 3 millimeters really, before it would come up to the space it wants. Now when we take this tooth out, we'll come in and take the first deciduous molar out. It'll be removed. And now we've looked on the panorex, and we saw how big the second bicuspid is. And it's estimated we're going to come in and take off enough off of this, but still leave enough in here for the second bicuspid to come into. And we'll do the pulpotomy on the second deciduous molar back here, and just watch these cuspid teeth move into place now when we do that. Okay, we extract the first deciduous molar, and we do all this the same day. We just take this tooth out, and we're going to infiltrate, deaden around this one. And now we've estimated we've got enough room right in here for the second bicuspid to come in, and we're going to come in and take this off, and we'll just kind of come off at the side. Now the roots of this molar, you see, will be coming out something like this down at the bottom, and we're going to leave this whole root in there. We'll cut like this, then we're going to come in and take the pulp out from the side. Now as this bicuspid, which is crowded or squeezed in this area, and here it comes up, then it'll move back, and the root of the bicuspid will be lying right along here. It may even resorb a portion of the root, this mesial root of this deciduous second molar. Okay, the pulpotomy is done similar. We trim the tooth with that long diamond, or you can take a 1170 long carbide burr, which I use now. It's a little simpler to operate with than the long diamond, and we go in and trim that side of that tooth off, and we'll take it off, and being very careful now, don't get in here and get involved with this second bicuspid. So you look where you're going in there and see what's going on. Now we take it off and we're down. In other words, we've cut a good bit of this tooth off, and you're down here close to where the nerve is on the side. Now we take a long shank, about a number 4 round, kind of a surgical burr there with a long shank on it, and we just enter the pulp from right in here, and then go down the first root, go back and down a little bit on the distal root of that deciduous molar. Now we've run this burr through here, and you kind of go down on the pulp of the first root and down a little bit on the pulp of the second root. Now we do the zinc oxide and eugenol, same way we did. You mix it quite thick on a paper, in your bracket cover actually. You mix it up and then you blot it with your thumb. You push down on it real hard and you squeeze out all the eugenol you can, and where you roll it up and it's thicker than putty, you can almost pack when you do pack the material. There's nothing but zinc oxide and eugenol now. And we cut it off with a spoon, and we kind of pile it on the end of the spoon where it'll stick on there. Let it bleed. It doesn't hurt. You pack it into the blood. Just go ahead and pack it right straight into the blood, and don't worry about it bleeding. Just do not blow air in there to get the blood out. For goodness sakes, you could cause an air ambulance. If you gotta get rid of some of it, well, aspirate it, but do not blow any of it out or wash it out or anything else. Just pack the zinc oxide and eugenol right straight in to this bloody root canal, and you'll go in with this stiff material and just squeeze in a point, and it'll go all the way back, and then you pack it in there with a amalgam plugger. And I'll show you some of these teeth after you remove them. They'll have a little horn of zinc oxide going down like that, and it may sit in their mouth for a year or two or more before it goes. Now, just pack it in there. Take your burr and kind of smooth the sides of this out, like this. You never have any problem with them. I've done thousands of these teeth. I've never had one blow up. An oral surgeon did one. Somebody just told him what to do, but he didn't have any foggy idea how to pack the zinc oxide and eugenol, so he just shoved a little bit in there and didn't have any pressure on it, and the tooth formed a granuloma down here at the bottom of it, and it didn't keep it from working. But if you'll pack it in there hard, you don't have to put any filling or any crown or anything else on this tooth. Just leave it like that, and it'll come out. The zinc oxide eugenol will be on the tips of the roots, be down the little horn of the root. Now, the kids, when you do this, you can look at this little girl's eyes and you can tell what she's saying in her mind. Say, "You sorry son of a gun," to kick your rear end, but after they've gone through it and their teeth are straight, and their teeth straighten up without anything, they forgive you later on down the line. But here we are, we've done that. And now, do you remember how the center, the midline was off? Look at it now. See? It is just lined up. these teeth have lined up, the front teeth have lined up, and now we've got room, and these cuspids are coming in. You see this cuspid that was 2 millimeters back from the, or 3 millimeters back, lingual. It's moved up labial. The bicuspid has come in and has dropped back in that space. It's amazing how they've straightened out. And the tongue and the lips and the normal pressures and functions have straightened these teeth up. That's why anybody's teeth are straight that are, that come into this world and don't do anything and have straight teeth. They've got to have good function. My wife's teeth are nice and straight, and she never saw an orthodontist, and so, but she nursed her mother till she was about 2.5 or 3, something like that. And maybe if kids nursed for a longer period of time, maybe their teeth would be straighter than they are. And we've just got a whole host of people with crooked teeth, though. Now, look how these upper centrals took up the space that we gave them, you see. And that's, to me, it's rather amazing that they would straighten out like that. Now the bite's a little deep. In other words, she's got maybe a slight class 2 tendency. It's still worked out though. Now this central didn't move all the way into place. This lateral over here isn't all the way into place. Good, but it's pretty darn good, from what it was when we went along. Now this may get better when we do the second phase on the upper. We'll look at it later and see. I've forgotten just how it is. But now look, this lateral is getting slightly better. This cuspid that was way back in here, it's moved 2 or 3 millimeters to the labial. And now the first bicuspid is coming in over here. It's coming in on this side. Now the crown of this bicuspid is much broader than the root structure down in here, and as the crown squeezed past here, then it moved back into what you cut off of this second deciduous molar and lined up, and the incisal edges of these teeth are just lined up beautifully well, and some of the rotation can be corrected like that, but it's given them, but you don't have much control over rotation. So bad rotated teeth probably will not rotate totally. There's no way the tongue can press on them and rotate them and press them back unless they're a flat surface tooth, you see. Okay, here we can see the cuspids are coming in high, and we don't have control over that either, and this may not get ideal. We'll see what it actually does. And the other one is coming out. You can see this cuspid is running into that and pushing this root out like that, and so apparently they're going to lose the upper cuspids first, and we'll take out the others. Alright, this view from up above, if you remember, this cuspid was at least 3 millimeters behind here. It's moved out totally into place. This bicuspid was crowded and way down in there, and it's moved up, and the tongue's pushing over here and the lips catching it over here, and it squeezed back into this place where we cut off this at an angle, just cupped it out at a little circle like that. As you go down, you leave the mesial root of this tooth is in there. Alright, this bicuspid is trying to get in. We'll just watch and see what it does. Now, the upper cuspid is, your control over it is not quite as good. It's going to be coming in here. The upper lip doesn't have a great deal of pressure on it, pushing it down, but it has some. Now your lower lip usually has a lot of pressure when they swallow, and your lip tightens up against it. Some people have a very tight lip structure, and some are very placid lip pressure, and they don't push them in the line. That's good. So this cuspid will start coming out. Now, whether this crown coming down would have eaten all the root of this cuspid off, I don't know. If it hasn't, and this tooth is coming in, you need to take that one out anyway. So let's see if it goes on its own. Now on the other side is a similar situation. So here up above we lost the first deciduous molar. This is the permanent tooth. Now I'm not recommending we take that out, so forget that. The tooth is gone up above. It probably just came out by itself, but the cuspids stayed in. Now down below, the cuspids came first, and we took the first deciduous molar, but up above, the deciduous molars came out first, and so we'll come in and take these teeth out, and now we've got this much space for the upper cuspid to come in. But we've gone in and with our Panorex kind of estimated how much room we're going to need for this upper second bicuspid. This one will tend to move back here when we cut this off, take this out, and as the cuspid comes in, it'll tend to push this back even further. And the same thing has happened over on the other side. So let's just see what takes place here. Now the lower, this bicuspid came in, you see, and it squeezed in it. We've got more space here than we need for the second bicuspid, so I wish I had taken a little more off there. You could go in and grind a little more, but it's not going to be perfect. But then this tooth is going to go when the second bicuspid starts in over here, and then it'll come in. Now this tooth will move forward a little bit while this is coming in. This may move back a little and help us right in here, the rotation of the cuspids. So this one is fit in there amazingly good. No lingual arches, nothing has been in there now. So, and there's nothing here to sell. In other words, if I had some rig that I could come up here and some company could sell it to you for $100 and convince you that it would do all this, you'd buy it, and use it. But there's nothing here to sell, so nobody's going to be advertising it and touting it and getting it on your mind. So this is not really caught on like I had hoped for. I was doing this for 25 years, and I got some good dentists have started using it and use it good, and know several pedodontists and other people that continue to use this in their practice, and a lot of people just flat don't do it. It doesn't cost anything really to do this. It's very very cheap, and nobody's making money off of it, so you don't hear about it much. So here the bicuspid has come in now, and this tooth was trimmed at an angle, leaving that root down at the bottom. And we're going to go back and look at some x-rays as we get on down here further. And as this tooth went past here, you see it was back there, and as it got here, it moved over. Now if this one got in first, then when this cuspid comes in, it would tend to shove this back in that direction also. So now here's the little girl. She's smiling now. We've been working on her for a year and a half, or maybe it might take a couple of years before you finish. There she was to start off with, and I think that's the last pictures I got of her teeth. But when this tooth goes, there's plenty of room now for this second bicuspid to come in. And it'll come in and the teeth are lined up quite well. And after they all get in, many of them you need to come back and do some finished orthodontic work, but I've had a lot of them that needed nothing. I had I don't know whether it was this little girl or not, but some girl she'd gotten married and moved off down south of Dallas somewhere, some town, drove all the way up, brought her little girl, and she was saying, I want you to slice her teeth like you did mine so she won't need any braces. Now I don't promise them they're not going to need braces doing this, but anyway, she drove all the way back and brought her little girl. So it took a couple of years of working like that. Now here's my own son, my last son, and we did this procedure on him. And he had perfectly lined up deciduous teeth, you see. I mean, there's midlines on, they fit, everything fit together great. So if you've got deciduous teeth and there's no spaces, nothing, then you're going to have crowding as the permanent teeth come in. The permanent teeth are going to be bigger and they're just going to crowd up. They had a chipped tooth over here, banged his teeth together and chipped one, but these were the deciduous teeth and they're perfectly aligned. I think I actually took his deciduous laterals down and let the permanent laterals come in line. I don't know. You don't have to do that. Normally we'll just take these out or something and do the cuspids, you see. And just the first phase will just involve the reduction of the cuspids, the deciduous cuspids now to bring the teeth in. But these were lined up. Well, here he's coming in now. His permanent laterals are coming in and it's pushing this root over and it's got this deciduous lateral headed back like that. The permanent laterals on the lower are way behind, and as they come up in there, there's 2 or 3 millimeters behind. In other words, if you measure this space in here, it's probably 3 or 4 millimeters lingual. Well, boy, once you give these teeth some room, the tongue is going to shove them right out, and you're going to push them into the lip, and the tooth will end up in what we call just a neutral zone out here. And you leave the root of this cuspid alone, and that maintains all this bone structure in here. If you extract this tooth and the root is gone in here, these teeth will drift forward, the bone will drift forward, and you lose some arch length, and this 6-year molar will move forward too. So we keep that root, and this happens. Now, I went in and I took some tissue off, but you don't really have to do that. And I trimmed the cuspids off and did the pulpotomy on both the deciduous cuspids, and in just a short length of time, those laterals were right in place up there. Now, when I first started into dentistry, I'd been to places, and all these people are doing all these frenectomies, letting the space close between the centrals. I never touched him right up here and watched these teeth go together. So your laterals are coming down from up here, something, and they're going to be pushing them here, and then you've got big cuspids up in this area, and so they're going to shove this together. His diastema closes up. Now, if you've got a history of parents with big diastemas, then that won't happen, but my teeth were fairly well together, and my wife's were too, and so these teeth move together without me doing any cut. You think, oh well, we've got this big ligament that's down in between these teeth. We're going to have to go in here and cut this all out to get those teeth to go together. And I've done that on lots of people, and they really didn't need it, or not very many of them did, you see. Alright, now we've cut this out as the upper laterals start to come in. You can see they're going to be crowded, and they're going to have to move those centrals together, and then we're going to have to give them some space up above. But look how these teeth went into that little cupped out area, and they're just lined up right across here. One of them isn't ideal. I could have made it a little bigger, a little more space in there. It might have straightened out. I'm sure it would have, because the tongue is pushing on this, but it doesn't have room right here to straighten this lateral out. So you end up with a lateral, and well, you don't end up, because it's going to straighten later on when these go, or this, whichever one goes. We'll have to watch and see. I forgot. Now, here he is later. Now the cuspids have moved back some, or he's gained more space in here. I don't know whether his tongue, just as he grew up, kind of pushed harder on the teeth in here, and he's got space. Now these laterals are coming in really screwy, but look how the diastema has closed up partly on this. Now we'll look at it from the palatal side, and you can see it's got a long way to go to straighten that out. And this tooth has to rotate, but it's a flat tooth, and it'll tend to rotate good, and this will come in too, and we're going to need it. So when this starts coming in like this, then we've got to make a decision to do the reduction of the upper cuspids. Now the lowers, it's gotten better. I don't know whether his tongue grew and he pushed out harder with the tongue, but it looks like he gained a little arch length in here as the tongue may have matured. Maybe the tonsils got bigger or something and forced the tongue further forward in the mouth. Alright, we've trimmed both cuspids now. We open this tissue so we can see that lateral, know where it is, so we don't trim it up. Now the laterals have moved into place pretty well, and the diastema is about half as big as it was to start with over here. So these teeth are coming together, and the pressure on it. Now we've got a little space in between some of the lower teeth. Just watch what as that tends to go away too. Now this lateral is coming in. You see the lateral is kind of at an angle like this. There's a big old cuspid right up in here. When it gets down here, this lateral, it'll push this lateral over, and the root will tend to line up and have a normal tip to it as it comes down in place. It's amazing just to watch nature put the teeth in their proper place. And that's probably because nature is why we go back to see what people that had no braces and they got their teeth came in straight, and we try to duplicate what that is, and the 6 keys of occlusion and all that good stuff. Okay, the laterals now have plenty of room up above. This one is moving forward. It hadn't rotated yet. We'll see as the lip pressure increases here, and the tongue pressure is going to increase on this side, and that tooth will tend to rotate in this direction, you see. Now the lower has gotten better all the time. He's lost this deciduous lower cuspid, and he probably loses this one, and I'm sure it'll come out before that. Now up above, the deciduous first molars came out before the cuspids did on that last case. I'm not sure how this one will do. Should have gone and looked at the thing before I started recording all this. But now the cuspids have started down. You see these laterals that were kind of angled like this. Now as the cuspid crown came on down, it hits this part, and the laterals are tipped. All the teeth need a certain amount of tip going distal. Now the laterals are tipped distally, and the incisal edge looks straighter. When it was tipped this way, it looked like you need to grind this part off, but don't go in there and grind it too quick, you see. And now as the cuspids have come down, that has literally closed the diastema completely. And I go back and think of how many of those I did. I would go in there on somebody, and they would say, "Oh, the kid's got this big space between us." I said, "Well, let's take this diastema. I would take the ligament out from that and do some surgery on them. Maybe you paid the rent that way or something, but I didn't need to, so I pretty well quit doing that. Just quit doing the diastemas unless their parents have them, and you've got to, they're going to inherit that, then you have to go back and do that. Okay, now the cuspids are coming in, and before I even got to it, he lost his deciduous second molar, and the bicuspid slipped in there, so I never did get to do the second phase of this slicing technique on him. Now the cuspids are dropping the upper cuspids are dropping into place. This tooth right here is getting ready. You can see it's loosening up here, and it'll go. And this bicuspid will drop back a little bit. This cuspid will have a little more room. This probably will come forward slightly. Now you can see how this has come in. Now this lateral still hasn't rotated all the way. Let's see if it does when we finish. When this one gets out of the way, right here, these will probably rotate out in that direction. Now the whole lower arch is in, and at this point everything there's no spacing between the teeth. He's never had a brace one put on his mouth, and it came in that good, and I don't think this could have come in that accurately and nicely if we hadn't doled out the space for the teeth as they came along. Now this cuspid may rotate in time a little bit. This is kind of in slightly, but I never did go in to do anything brace-wise on him. So here he is, a little older, and there his front teeth is absolutely no diastema there. It's not perfect right there, but it looks darn good. And after he matures a little bit, this cuspid kind of comes in place. This drops in, and this bicuspid drops into place right in there. And that's about, if you could get all your orthodontic cases to end up that good, and knowing that this is the normal pressure in there. In other words, this is the neutral zone. There's as much pressure out here on the lip side, and the tongue pressure from the inside pushed all these teeth in this place. It rotated many of these teeth into alignment like they should be, and so he's swallowing and breathing properly and doing all that good stuff. Now this will get better as he matures a little bit. The lower just looks like it's almost ideal. And here he is in 1979. The midline's still on, the cuspids are up like this. We never went in and did any orthodontics. Look how that cuspid finally tucked into place right there. I mean, you can't get that much better than that. If you were a super duper orthodontist and you had to move teeth around all over the place, it ain't gonna get a whole lot better than that. And he's had nothing, no braces whatsoever, just doled it out, and this is lined up that good. Still, that lateral didn't completely rotate out. That one that was sitting like that, it came out part of the way, but it never did do that. So it's not perfect, but it's darn good anyway. And the lower, this lateral got out a little bit, but still squeezed back in here. Really, this ought to come out a little more right here, but not much. Now here is a deciduous second molar that a child came in, and this was just hanging there, and I stuck a spoon under something and flipped it out, and had the girls clean it off, wash it off, and that's the zinc oxide that's been in there probably a couple of years. None of it is resorbed. There's the little point that went down the distal root. There's the point that went down the mesial root. There's where I chipped the enamel. As the tooth resorbed, the resorptive cells just ate the dentin up into the tooth all around the zinc oxide eugenol. Didn't affect the resorptive ability of these cells at all, and that's kind of hollowed out down in like this. The enamel edge, though, they have no effect on the enamel. It's real thin here, and it just, I stuck a spoon under there as I flipped that out. It cracked some of that enamel off, but that's the tooth after it is exfoliated. So you don't have to go in and crown the blooming thing. You don't have to drill in here and put some kind of special filling and carry on like you're doing something great. Just pack the zinc oxide eugenol in there, smooth it off, trim it where it doesn't cut their lip, and leave the cotton picking thing alone. And it'll come out, and this will stay in there during that whole period of time and come out. Now on cuspids, a lot of times you'll have a point of this zinc oxide eugenol. As the tooth comes up in here, sometimes it'll break it off or something. There'll be a little chunk of that come out with the tooth. And so we just leave them alone and let them come out naturally. So this is the end of our slideshow on the slicing technique. It's not done with a disc now. We do it with a burr, either a long tapered diamond or a 1170 long carbide burr. Or you can take that long tapered diamond you saw. I kind of like the carbide burr. We just get a brand new one and make sure it's clean. You can sterilize if you want to, but we usually just take it out of the package and use it. And you see how we cut this tooth. Now these roots would have gone out something like this maybe. It'd been a little further up in here. As the bicuspid comes up in here, you'll have a bicuspid crown. It'll be over here. As it rises up, the crown moves back this way, and it'll just fit right into this spot right there. So this is the slicing technique, and I hope some of you will use it. I've never had any trouble with it at all. Just don't blow air in here. That's just a no-no. Leave the blood in there and just pack the eugenol. A lot of people just don't mix the eugenols thick enough. If you just blot it out on the paper until it's so thick you can actually pack it, and you can take a amalgam plugger and shove it back in there and fill it up and just smooth it off out here and leave. You don't need any other filling material on it at all. So hope you'll do this. It really works, and so it's no cost. Nobody is making money off of it selling it to you, or it probably would be really popular if you could fix it where you'd have to sell it to people. Then somebody would advertise it and sell it, but it just has to go by word of mouth, I guess. So that's the end of this one. I'm going to go to F10.